Hi, girls. Welcome back to Hot and Bothered. I'm Cedar Champ.
And I'm Chris Bruno.
And tonight at 5 p.m. Actually, I don't know where I was going with that.
Hey, girls.
Hi.
What's going on?
Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday.
Welcome back. This is Hot and Bothered. I'm Cedar Champ.
I'm Chris Bruno.
And on this podcast, we talk about everything that we find hot as fuck.
And everything that bothers the shit out of us.
I bet you guys can all guess what we're bothered about this week.
We're both bothered this week, and we're bothered for the same reason. So we're going to keep it short and sweet. Actually, not sweet.
It's not going to be sweet.
Cedar's been mourning for 2 days.
Has been 2.
2.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess just to warn everybody, unfortunately, I know what we're all needing right now probably is like some lighthearted fun, some upbeat energy.
A break from what we're about to talk about.
Right. What we normally try to provide. However, it's fresh, it's new, it's raw, it's real. And honestly, I haven't been thinking about much else over the past couple of days aside from this. So I don't know how I could possibly talk about anything else.
Mm-hmm. And Cedar's also a politician.
I kind of am.
You are.
Should I run for office?
No.
You don't want to have a podcast with somebody who's in political office?
I don't know. Maybe.
That could be kind of a slay.
I think that would be
It's giving Donald Trump and Joe Rogan.
No, it's giving conflict of interest.
Yeah, okay. So obviously clear and fair warning that we just have some grievances to air because it's been a really fucked week. And that's all that we have to talk about. And so join in or plug your ears if this is like, if you don't want to hear about it anymore. But this is what we're dealing with. This is life. This is our new reality.
How are you feeling?
Really confused, to be completely honest. Actually, my cousin posted something today and she was like, I feel so misled like by the media and by everything else because I think we all felt it. Like I think we all felt the energy that like we really thought that we had a fighting chance.
I felt like everyone was like voting for Trump in the closet.
Well, that's the thing. And it's always the people that are posting things like, if you can't be friends with somebody because they have different political views and you need to grow up, like those kinds of things, those people who post that shit, they're always Trump supporters.
Mm-hmm.
Always 1000% without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because they know that their views and their morals are heinous and they're embarrassed of it.
Yeah.
And they're fucking embarrassed of it. Like I saw someone said something on the internet a couple of days before the election and they were like, the people that vote for Trump and say, well, they're voting for Trump because of his economic policies, you're basically saying that your morals have a price tag on them. Like your morals can be bought. Like that's literally what you're saying.
1,000%.
Like, because they're like, well, morally or like socially I align with like the Democratic Party, but like economically I align with like the Republican Party, and that's fine in any normal election, but this election obviously was not a normal election. And
can you go into detail about that? Because I'm just gonna let everybody know I'm not as up to speed and as in deep as Cedar. So you're gonna have to fill in a lot of blanks for me and maybe some of these listeners.
Sure.
Why was this
election so big?
And why was it so different?
Okay, well, what I will say is nobody quote me because although Chris thinks that I know everything about government, I actually don't. But the reason this election was so big and so different is because the amount of change that Trump was able to bring in the wrong direction due to his presidency. Because as we discussed earlier, I've told Chris, like, I'm really fucking tired of everybody saying it's just 4 years, because it's not. Because 2 years after his presidency, the first
Which
time
I did
around,
say when I was sitting on the couch. I was like, well, it's just 4 years. And Cedar put a
I was
knife,
like, shut the fuck up.
like literally put a knife to my throat.
So 2 years after his presidency ended, this was during Biden's presidency. They overturned Roe v. Wade, and that was directly a result of his presidency, because he elected, I think it was 2 members, maybe 3, to the Supreme Court with the intention that they would overturn Roe v. Wade. So when they finally get around to voting for Roe v. Wade, they were able to overturn it. And that happened 2 years after his presidency ended. So I'm so fed up with people saying it's just 4 years, because it's not. Because we're 8 years out now, and we're still seeing the results of it. So that's part of the reason why this election was so big, because there is a lot of undoing that needs to be done because of his first presidency. Second being that there are more Supreme Court seats that will be filled during the next presidency. And we already have a predominantly red Supreme Court. And so by having the ability to elect more members to the Supreme Court, we will have an even deeper red Supreme Court, which is terrifying. And not only that, but during this election, our House and our Senate, our presidency and our Supreme Court, all of them, every single one of them are fully red. And I think that this is like potentially the first time that's ever happened. Allegedly, it happened in Poland, and the result has been really ugly. Like, it's been really bad for them over in Poland. I have no idea what goes on over there.
I was just gonna say, like, how do they? I don't even know how this country is ran, so I don't know why I'm asking about Poland. But I did not envision Poland being a country that was like red or blue.
Yeah. Apparently, it's super red now.
That's so weird. Polish people seem nice.
You would think,
right?
Right. So yeah, it was a big election for many reasons, because there's a lot of things at stake, and like the hope was that all of the really insane things that were done during Trump's initial presidency would be able to be undone by the next presidency, assuming that a Democrat was elected into office. And that didn't happen. So basically now at this point, he gets to just continue. He gets to basically pick up where he left off.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Like he took a little break.
Little breather.
Some of his dirty work happened over that 4 years, and now he's gonna just jump back into it.
Exactly.
And be like, well, I didn't do that because it happened when I wasn't in office.
Which is exactly what he would do, and exactly what he would say. Because if there's one thing that man loves to do, it is not take responsibility for his actions.
A lot of men like to do that.
That's so crazy, isn't it?
It's so weird.
It's so crazy. So let me ask you, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling confused as well, because I wasn't really expecting this result, and I really feel bad for the people who it's affecting more than me. Like, I feel like I should be like more depressed about it and more like sad about it, but the reality of it is that I just kind of like turn a blind eye to things a lot, and this is kind of one of them, which is really bad. But the way that it's affecting people is making me feel even worse, and it's making me feel guilty that I'm not like feeling sad about it. I'm also just really nervous because I think that Donald Trump is like literally a psychopath.
Yeah.
Like, I think that he's like a very unhinged person, and he's very unpredictable, and he's very inappropriate, and he's very like sporadic in a bad way, and very candid in a extremely unprofessional way that I think is like, I mean, when you look at like the president, I mean, but far below the president, when you look at like any like CEO, anyone who manages anything, like any type of professional person, like their demeanor and the way that they present themselves and the way that they communicate with other people, there's just like no respect coming from his mouth at all in any way, shape, or form.
Like the average professional has a certain level of class. And
Yeah, he's just
yeah,
very like stupid to me. He's just
yeah,
very, he's like a big bimbo.
yeah. That's just so power hungry.
Mm-hmm.
That's so power hungry.
I mean, I know I've said this 1.5 million times, but me being just like visual, like just from what I'm like observing on TikTok and from watching like the debate and like other things, I'm just like, this person is fucking batshit crazy. How is anyone listening to him? How is anyone
Mm-hmm.
believing what he's saying? How is anyone taking this seriously?
Mm-hmm.
Like, the horrible things that he's doing aside, like what he's presenting is embarrassing for
Yeah.
our country to be represented by.
Yeah. And it's not a hot take to say that, like, from a professional standpoint, obviously Kamala was the more qualified candidate given her history in politics, given her education level, given her professionalism. So I think, like, most people will agree that, like, from that standpoint, like, what we expect out of a president, she kind of,
Emulates.
she took the crown on that.
Yeah.
And for me, the thing was like, because of that, because from that perspective, it is a very clear choice because she presented us with plans.
Mm-hmm.
She presented us with numbers. She presented us with all of these policies that were detailed in which she would like to execute during her potential presidency. Whereas from him, we got, I have a concept of a plan and have been getting that from him for years and years and years and years. So to me, from that perspective, the decision was very clear. And then at that point, what it came down to was the question of how does our country view women? Because not only was it the issue, if you even want to call it that, which is crazy, the issue of having a female president, but it was also the issue of the fact that there are so many women's rights that are at stake during this election. And so it's like, can you put your pride aside and have a woman as a president so women can have their rights back? Or like, do you respect women enough that you will vote for a woman? And the day of the election, actually, I had already voted. I went about my day as normal. And the evening before they'd even like started counting votes, I think, I walked out of a workout class and I couldn't stop crying and I couldn't figure out why I was crying. And I realized like this is a very clear test in which our country will show us how far we've actually come in terms of equality between the genders and how our society views women
Mm-hmm.
and to what standard our society holds women. And I already know that, as I've made so fucking clear, as I often talk about on this podcast, like I have been labeled extreme for my feminist views, and I already know how our country perceives women, and I don't need it rubbed in my face even more.
Mm-hmm.
And so like leading up to the election, leading up to the votes being counted, leading up to a candidate winning, I was just frustrated and in distress because I was like, I have to think about this every day in my day to day life constantly anyway. I don't need it shoved in my face even further. And lo and behold, our country proved to us once again that they do not care about or respect women.
I think that's terrible. Obviously, it's horrible, but I was in a group message with like some of my like best friends from home, and we were just like, we were having this like really uncomfortable moment of gratitude where we were like, we live in California, and we were like, America is so big and so fucking weird. We were like, we don't know what goes on
Mm-hmm.
anywhere between where we are and like the east, what's happening like on the east coast. Like it's
Yeah.
like everything in between is just a completely different world than we are exposed to in so many different ways. Obviously, politics and people's like views on gender, sexuality, religion. Like, I feel like it's such a fucking. We are like not as advanced as we think we are in any category at all.
Because we live in a bubble.
We do live in a bubble.
And I try to tell people that all the time, especially when I talk about like when I've talked to people about like the hate that I get on the internet because I'm a woman, and like how I get slut shamed, and like the horrible and nasty things that like people say to me, and like even the perspectives I see from like the random people that I like still follow on Instagram from my hometown, and like those kinds of things. Like I try to tell people that, like, especially the people here, I try to tell them like, you don't understand because you don't see the worst of it. And they're like, well, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? And I'm like, what I mean is there's an entire country.
Yeah.
And you get to be so blissfully ignorant to that because, first of all, it's mostly men, obviously, because I think most women like experience this regularly, and like you don't have to convince them because they experience it. And it's like you're a man, first of all, so it would never be that big of an issue to you, even if you did live in middle America. But second of all, like, you're a man and you live in a large metropolitan area, it's so easy for you to turn a blind eye. And like that is also the biggest and most frustrating part about it, is like how many men choose to turn a blind eye and they won't actually look at like what is in front of us and how severe it is. And like just before the election, there was this guy on the internet talking about how he was like, I've been pro-choice, but if I would have known how severe this is before, I would have been much more vocal about it. And he goes on to tell this story about his wife recently. They live in, I think, Texas, and she was pregnant and she started miscarrying, but was unable to like fully successfully have a miscarriage on her own and needed medical intervention. And they couldn't get the help. They couldn't get the care that they needed. And he found her unconscious on the bathroom floor after she had been bleeding for 4 days. And they have a 9-month-old baby at home. And like this was a baby that they wanted and they had planned to carry out the pregnancy. But because of the abortion bans, she couldn't get the medical care that she needed. And he goes on to talk about this. And I'm like, thank you for speaking up about it. But at the same time, I want to punch this guy in the fucking face, because for so many people, it's like you don't understand how severe it is until it happens to someone in front of you.
She's on the floor in the bathroom.
Until she's on the floor in the bathroom and is unconscious and cold to the touch because she's probably in septic shock. Like that is so, thank you for speaking about it and thank you for sharing this experience. But like, can anyone pay attention to us? Like the women of our country are literally screaming in your fucking faces, hey, this is fucked up and women are dying and like we need attention to this issue. And we still have these fucking idiot losers saying, well, but I make $150 a year and I don't want to pay more in taxes. Like, get so far fucking fucked. Actually get so far fucked. And also, if you looked at Kamala's tax plan, like anyone, like her tax plan wasn't going to affect anyone who made under $400,000 a year, which like in LA, in New York, 400,000, let's be honest, it's not a lot. But really, can you not suck up like the couple extra percentages on your annual income taxes just so women can live? Like, come on. Like, you're kidding.
Yeah.
And I think that that's like one of the biggest misconceptions about abortion too, is that people think it's mostly just women who like are reckless and like aren't taking birth control, because that's our responsibility too, and accidentally get pregnant and then just decide, oh, I don't really want to have this baby, I'm gonna kill it. And that's not the reality of it. Like abortion is a medical procedure. It's a necessary medical procedure, and there's a lot of circumstances in which a woman's life can be threatened and an abortion needs to be performed, and a lot of these abortion laws don't take that into account.
They just think like, oh, you're a hoe, like we're not going to give you an abortion.
Basically. And there has been laws that have been passed, like especially in Texas, there are laws that have been passed that basically state, and I'm not going to try and give anyone the proper terminology because let's be honest, like I am not a formal politician yet. So like, you know, but they passed a law, I guess, in Texas that basically states like to what extent a woman's life has to be at risk before she can receive medical intervention. and you basically have to be going into like organ failure. Like parts of your body need to be dying off before it's severe enough for them to intervene
That's
medically.
so fucking stupid.
It's very sinister. It is very sinister, and it's very
Why would
real.
you even like want to get to that point?
You wouldn't.
Exactly.
But that's the thing. The misconception is that people think women are just out here killing babies. And the thing about it that's frustrating to me is that our society sees women as people who are so incapable, incompetent, weak.
I want to say disposable.
Disposable, sure. But where I'm going with this is that basically our society does not trust women to make decisions regarding our own health and well-being and the well-being of others, if we're talking about a fetus as another being. And because of that, women are treated as something that needs to be regulated and governed. Like women are treated as a certain specific entity that is incapable of making decisions for our own selves, which is a really, really, really crazy concept. No woman is out here getting an abortion
For fun.
for fun. Like we're not doing it as a hobby. It's not like something that someone just like decides to do. You don't wake up and get pregnant just so you can get a fucking abortion. And the fact that our government and our society treats us as individuals that can't make those decisions for ourselves and can't be trusted to make those decisions for ourselves is so mind-boggling to me.
That's kind of what I meant by like disposable.
Yeah,
It's just like, no, you're like wrong.
you're wrong.
Yeah.
You're wrong. It's your body, but you're wrong.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about that.
It was a very propelling speech, I must say.
Was it?
It was.
Thank you.
I'm just sitting here like absorbing.
Are you falling in love with me?
No. Absolutely not, sweetie. Absolutely not. But that was beautiful and very well said.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It was quite eye-opening.
It's the simple fact that people don't trust us to make our own decisions
With your own bodies.
with our own bodies. And it's not dissimilar from, it wasn't very long ago when women are even allowed to have their own bank accounts and credit cards.
Mm-hmm.
Like that wasn't that long ago. And to me, in my head, like the logic is the same. Like people didn't trust women with money. People didn't trust women to be in charge of their own bank accounts, so they were not allowed to have bank accounts. That wasn't that long ago. And everyone tries to pretend like we've come so far as a society, and it's like we're not seen as equals. We're not. And I also feel really bad because I'm overtaking this entire conversation and making it about women when, like, obviously, and I have felt a lot of guilt about this throughout the election because I've made it obviously entirely about women, but I know that there are a lot of other demographics that are scared and at risk, like especially like immigrants, documented and undocumented, especially the LGBTQ community. Any queer person ever right now is most of them shaking in their fucking boots. Like
You're like most of them,
not Chris.
I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Can someone tell me what's going on, please?
He has no idea what's going on.
I don't know, you guys.
I do have one more thing I want to share on the topic of abortion, and then I'm going to turn the floor over to you.
I don't know if I have anything to say, but okay.
We'll come up with something. I have just recently been informed of this, actually, which is a really crazy thing because it pertains to something that could potentially happen with my body and many other women. And I actually told one of my girlfriends about this, who feels very strongly about a woman's right to choose as well. And she was floored. Her jaw literally was hanging by its hinges, like on the fucking floor. She had no idea. And I'm like, it's crazy that we haven't been educated on this.
What is it? You're scaring me.
Okay, so little known fact. The length of a pregnancy is not determined by the date of conception. The length of a pregnancy is determined by the first day of the woman's last period. So a menstrual cycle is 28 days long.
Mm-hmm.
And how it usually happens is you have your period. You have a week after your period's usually like 5 to 7 days. Then there's another week after that where some other things happen. Then the week after that is where you're ovulating, and that's when you get pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And then the cycle repeats itself. And when you don't get pregnant, then you have a period. So the length of a pregnancy is determined by the first day of the last period, which is actually usually 2 to 3 weeks before conception actually takes place. So when you have an abortion ban in a state of 6 weeks, you can't get an abortion after 6 weeks. You are actually only about 2 to 3 weeks along in your pregnancy,
Mm-hmm.
which is mind blowing. And that's like, and it's a medical standard.
Yeah.
And that's like that is how the length of a pregnancy is determined. And it's crazy to me to think, because for a lot of women, life gets busy. Sometimes you miss your period. You don't realize you missed your period until 2-3 weeks later. And then it's like at that point, when you're in a state that has a 6-week abortion ban, you've missed your mark.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because you're actually only 3 weeks pregnant. And then if you are not paying attention, you're not monitoring your body closely, because let's be honest, like, who is? Like, we all have fucking jobs. We all have careers. We have lives. Like, there's so much going on every fucking day in all of our lives that, like, who's really actually paying attention? And when you're living in a state that has a 6-week abortion ban, you're actually only 3 weeks pregnant. You aren't paying close enough attention, or you're not like tuned in with your body, and you don't notice any early symptoms or signs. And some women still get a period after they've gotten pregnant, and that can happen, and it's really normal. And if you miss that short window and you're in a state with a 6-week abortion ban, you're actually fucked. Like, you're actually fucked. It's a crazy, crazy concept, because obviously my entire life I'm a woman, and I've gone my entire life thinking that like the length of your pregnancy is determined by the date of conception, but it's actually 3 weeks prior.
That's so weird.
So your pregnancy, you're tacking on an extra 3 weeks in which you actually weren't even pregnant. And then God forbid you have to sit and decide, okay, do I want to keep this baby or do I not want to keep this baby? Maybe you think about it for a couple of days or a week. You've missed your 6-week window.
Mm-hmm.
You're fucked. That's crazy. A 3-week-old fetus, and like all of us, like a 3-week fetus, like, do you know what that looks like? Nothing. It looks like nothing. That's crazy. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's fucking weird.
And the amount of people that don't even know that. Like, I didn't even know
had
that.
no idea.
And
I don't. That doesn't really make sense. But
It doesn't
I'm
make
like,
any
if
sense.
that's the standard to measure a pregnancy, then
Why is that the standard?
yeah.
Why is
But
it the
can
standard?
you lie about that? Can you be like, well, no, my period was like.
Well, that's where it gets a little tricky, because a lot of women keep track of their period because
Of
they
this
don't want to
exact
get
reason.
pregnant.
Yeah.
And there's period tracking apps, and
Mhm.
there's things in which women have implemented to stay on top of their
And that's
reproductive
probably the
health.
first question a doctor asks is, well, when was your last period?
Oh, they ask you that even if you're like going in for a
yeah.
physical. They ask you that because
the eye doctor, they're
and
like,
it-
when was your last period?
yeah, like literally,
Mhm.
yeah, like I'm getting my teeth cleaned.
Yeah.
And everyone always asks that, and you don't think anything of it because you're like, yeah, it pertains to my health, like whatever. Obviously, make sure that like everything is functioning properly and whatever. But when you get into these sticky situations with abortion laws, and women have been talking about this for the past couple of years since the overturn of Roe v. Wade, but at what point are they going to be taking data from our period tracking apps so they can monitor other people's pregnancies and prosecute women for abortions? Because women have and will be going to jail for having abortions.
I don't like that.
Which is also, this is my closing statement on this topic before we talk about something maybe slightly different, but also why I've been encouraging every man in my fucking contact list. I've been sending the link to every man in my contact list asking if they will purchase abortion pills to keep on hand in case a woman in their life needs them. And that's like kind of the only way around it, because I've ordered abortion pills, and it would be so easy probably for the government to obtain that information to see that I ordered abortion pills. So if I'm ever in a circumstance where I'm in a place where abortion is legal or illegal, and I was pregnant and then all of a sudden I'm not, and they have to determine if that was a miscarriage or an abortion, and they go into
Your email.
my whatever system they are going to
Yeah.
have access to, and discover that I purchased abortion pills in October of 2024. I'm going to go to jail for having an abortion. And that's why I've been telling every man that I know to please buy abortion pills and keep them on hand, because nothing's going to happen to the men. And if they have them and if they're giving them to women, obviously off the record,
Mm-hmm. Do I
maybe
need to buy you some?
I mean, I already bought them, and I'm like, I'll go to jail, and that's fine. And I probably won't even need them for myself, but like, obviously, I have them just in case someone else needs them, because I have a sister in Arizona. Thankfully, Arizona just made a smart decision and is protecting abortion rights after they had previously had an abortion ban. But I have so many women that I care about in so many other places that are not safe.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're listening to this and if you have women in your life that you care about and you would like to have abortion pills on hand just in case they need them, you can go to aidaccess.org and buy them and keep them in your medicine cabinet. And hopefully you never have to use them. Hopefully no one you know and love ever has to use them, but you never know. And I would rather be fucking safe than sorry, that's for sure.
And in jail.
And in jail.
Well, I
That
love
would be
that
a
for
slay.
you.
I would go
You
to
in
I would
jail?
fully go to jail. I would fully go to jail. Absolutely.
I could see you in prison.
I would look horrible in orange, but I would be okay with it.
I could totally see you in prison. Did you watch the Martha Stewart documentary?
No, but I really need
It
to.
was really good. Like should we like have a little should we have a little intermission and talk
A
about
little
Martha
a little
Stewart?
fun
So
intermission.
I like can't watch TV because I can watch TV, but I just get so distracted when I watch TV, and then I'm on my phone, and then I'm like, okay, great, like I just missed the best part, and I don't care to like rewind and watch it. And this Martha fucking Stewart documentary, my eyes were glued to the TV. At first, I thought it was like a mini series where it was gonna be like 6 episodes, but it was like 2 hour, like a little over 2 hours, which is like a world record for me. But like, bitch, when I say that I could not turn this off. But she was talking about prison. Also, she's like a bitch.
Is she?
Like she's a bitch. Like she's a
In a good way or a
bitch.
bad way?
In a bad way.
Okay.
Like in a bad way. But I do feel bad for her because she basically went to prison and like went bankrupt because of something that she had no idea about.
Yeah.
But we don't have to talk about that. But anyway, she was talking about prison, and she was like, prison is like terrible. She's like, they do nothing to like reform or educate you. She's like,
Mhm.
it's just depressing and horrible. And
Okay, Martha Stewart being the next Kim Kardashian with her prison reform.
I know, and I was like, she should actually do something. I thought that that's
Yeah.
where this was going, but she didn't do anything about it.
Okay.
Like she was just like, okay, now I'm gonna go smoke weed with Snoop
She
Dogg.
just wants to like put her throw pillows on her couch and
Literally,
bake a cake and smoke weed
yeah.
with Snoop Dogg.
But
Exactly.
it was a really good documentary.
I
Like
saw
it was all over the place.
I saw the clips of her talking about her ex-husband and his affair, and then the
Mhm.
person was like, but he said that you had an affair, and she was like, we're not talking about that.
No, okay. Like literally, she's a hoe. She's a fucking hoe. Yeah, and she was also like she's like, oh, that wasn't an affair. And I was like, that was literally
That was an
an
affair.
affair.
That was
Like,
an
what are
affair.
you talking about?
Yeah.
She was psychotic. Like, you need to watch it. You should watch it.
I'm gonna watch it tonight.
You should. It's
I
really
love her.
good.
I
There's
really
so
love
many
her.
things that like I was like applauding her for. Like I was like, you're like a disgusting person, but then at the same time I was like, this bitch is powerful and a genius. But then I was
Yeah.
also like, you're psychotic and fully weird
Delusional.
and like mean.
Is it giving Anna Delvey a little bit?
No, it's giving like robot.
Interesting.
It's giving like she's a robot.
Interesting.
Full robot. That's a good way to put it.
Huh. I'm kind of into it.
Yeah, I love her. I've always loved her.
I mean, I think I love
I
her.
always have loved her.
I love a woman that is unapologetically just a massive bitch.
She like tried to hide it though. She tried to
Okay.
hide it. Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna be
Martha Stewart.
for Thanksgiving. That's what I'm gonna be. That's what I'm gonna be this Thanksgiving is Martha Stewart. Actually,
Perfect.
I think Martha Stewart is when I knew that I was gay.
Really? Do you
Mhm.
actually think so? Why? Tell me about that experience.
Because I was just so like I remember being like a kid watching it like at my grandma's house, and I was like, this isn't normal for like a boy to like this show.
Right.
I was like, this isn't normal for me to be like enamored by this woman, not in a
Yeah.
sexual way. I was like,
Yeah.
there's something wrong with me.
Yeah. Who was that? Someone sent us a DM the other day that was like something about like, I know how much Chris loves like
Oh
horrible
yeah.
white
Oh no,
women.
it was my story about Kelly Dodd. They're like, I know how much Chris like loves white Republican women, but like that one is a little too far, which obviously she
Obviously,
is.
yeah. You with
Um
Martha. I was not like expecting Martha Stewart to be your gay awakening.
Kind of.
I like that, and it's very suiting for you actually.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
She's a
Like
bitch.
it wouldn't make sense for it to be like,
A gay icon. Well, she is a gay
yeah.
icon,
I
but
mean,
like
she is, but
it
in a
would
different way
yeah.
cuz it's not
She's like
sexualized.
boring.
Yeah.
Like she's like
Yeah.
very dry.
Mhm.
I need to like go through her magazines, but you need to watch it. It was stunning.
I'm
Should we
going
talk about
to.
the president?
Yeah, let me ask you really quick. I guess did we tell them that we're so bothered? Did we say
No, we're
that?
bothered. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
obviously we're
bothered. We're just
bothered.
bothered
We're just
because
bothered.
we live in a world where people
Don't care about us.
yeah.
So yeah, I was just gonna ask, I guess if you had any.
I'm actually bothered because I feel really bad for Melania.
Tell me about it. Tell me more about that.
I just feel bad for her. Also, Donald Trump looks really fat lately. Like he like can't walk. He looks fucking obese. He
He
looks
looks really bad.
disgusting. I'm like,
He looks really
you are
bad.
one burger away from a heart attack.
No,
Like you need to
1000%.
chill out.
Also, he's obsessed with McDonald's.
Okay, my again in the same group chat with my friends that we were talking about like living in a bubble. My friend was like, someone chimed in and she was like, when did like Donald Trump get into self tanning? Like it was her question was like so genuine. She was just why is that a thing?
Where did
Like
that come
when did he
from?
get into that? Like does he think it looks good? I was
Yeah.
like dying laughing.
And
'Cause-
he's not even hitting the tanning bed. He's like doing like an airbrush, like, but like with
but
like
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 around
with
his
a cap
eyes,
on, and like he's
yeah,
wearing like goggles, and he's doing
it's
like a full
so
like, I
bad.
know it's really bad. And I've said this once, I'll say it again. Who on his glam squad is doing this to him? They
He
hate
needs to go on
him.
Ozempic.
He
But
looks really fat.
I saw something and I was like, this man weighs 600 pounds and stinks.
He's a fatty
Isn't he like
fatso.
80?
He's 78 years old,
Damn.
which is another insult to injury, with like Kamala being like one of the youngest people to run for president since literally Obama, and we still couldn't get her elected. Like, are you kidding?
I know.
Well, Trump's gonna die really soon, and then JD
No,
Vance is
he's
gonna be our
probably gonna
president
be like,
because evil doesn't die.
yeah, he's immortal.
Yeah.
But no, I
Yeah.
feel bad for Melania.
Looks miserable.
She was just like, I just came here for a green card and a Birkin,
And she
now
got sucked into this whole fucking
now
mess.
I'm walking in circles in the White House.
Did you see the meme that was like about Trump and Elon having 17 children with like multiple different
Uh-huh.
women preaching
Yeah.
about family
Yeah.
values? That's
Yeah.
exactly. And also someone else made a really great point about how Trump like is obviously so anti-immigrants, and like I think
He's
all three of his wives, or like 2 out of 3 of his wives or something, have been immigrants. Like
I'm
what?
pretty sure they all have been.
Yeah. Like actually.
It just doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. It's like, where is the standard?
Yeah.
And the fact that people follow that so blindly, and they're like, yeah, what he says is Bible. And I'm like, also, should we talk about the Bibles he's selling? Should we talk
He's
about the fact that
selling
he's selling
Bibles?
Bibles made in China? And have you heard how much shit he talks about China? And he is selling Bibles that are made in China. There was a law that was passed in one of the weird little southern states about how like every classroom has to have a Bible in it, but the Bible needs to include the US Constitution, the Pledge of Allegiance, like all this weird stuff. And the only Bible that is produced that contains all of those things is the one that Donald Trump sells on his website.
Okay, so but it's mandatory for that Bible to be in every single classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Because they're weird, freaky Bible thumpers.
That's really fucking weird. And what loophole did he find to create that product? That's probably a 1 cent Bible. Like that piece of literature, it's like cost what, like a quarter for each classroom?
There also is an interview of somebody saying, like, Trump being like a religious man, obviously, he makes Bibles now. And someone was like, can you share with us what like your favorite like psalm or whatever is from the Bible? And he was like, I don't want to talk about that. It's so personal.
He's such a fucking fat drama queen.
He's never read the Bible a day in his life. He
Well,
has
he
no idea
can't
what the Bible
answer a
says.
single question.
He has no idea what the Bible says. He has no idea what's in the Bible. He has never read the Bible a day in his fucking life. Wait, can I tell the girls a secret that I've actually been hanging on to? Have you guys ever heard me talk about this character in my life called Spit in My Mouth
Oh my
Man?
God, you guys.
Okay, so election night, right? I knew that if I stayed home, I was just going to be Spiral City. So I went out and met friends at a bar for a few beers, right? The election was looking bleak. And after this election, I have vowed to myself that I will not be letting any man inside of me that has voted for Trump, right? And Spit in My Mouth Man, although a piece of shit royally, is a political activist
and he supports us.
volunteered and dedicated his time to the Harris campaign. And I was texting him throughout the night of the election, you know, making him give me updates so I didn't have to figure things out myself. And it was looking really bleak. And after over a year of not sleeping with this individual, I just decided we deserve a little treat. So as a reward for his dedication to fighting for my rights, Chris's rights, and all of our rights, I fully put out for Spit in My Mouth Man on the night of the election.
Talk about I scratch your back, you scratch mine. Talk about that's a treaty.
A treaty.
That's a treaty.
Yeah. Crossing enemy lines.
Mm-hmm. You guys had a little handshake.
Sleeping with the enemy.
You're like, I see you, you see me.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? At the end of the day, we support each other.
Something like that.
So that's all it takes.
Yeah.
That's all it takes nowadays is just someone to support Harris.
As I said earlier, this election really did show us how little our country thinks of women and the men in this country. Also, let's keep in mind 55% of men that voted in this election, 55% of men that voted in this election voted for Trump, which means that they don't care about us. They don't care about us as women. So that means there's 45% of men that we can sleep with. And how many of those men do we think are gay? How many of those men do we think are married?
Wait, a lot of them are gay.
A lot of them, the 45%, a lot of them are gay.
Probably 20% is gay.
And how many of them do we think is married?
20.
Right. Okay, so there's...
No, probably like 12%.
12. Don't make me do that math.
Okay, so we're at 25%.
25.
Wait, what was the amount to begin with?
You said 20 are gay.
Of what number?
45.
Okay, so yeah. Okay, so 10. So we're at 15.
15 left?
Yeah, I'm actually really good at math. I just like don't know what's going on.
45 minus 20 is
25.
15.
45 minus 20
is 25. 25 minus 12.
I said 10. So I said let's make it 10.
Okay, we're making it 10.
Okay, so it's 15.
15. So that leaves...
Or it would be 13 if we wanted to do the 12.
If we wanted to do 12. Okay,
so it's 13%.
So 13% of men that are potentially eligible bachelors that we could sleep with. And then amongst those 13% of men, we have to find the ones that aren't also douchebags. Because although Spit in My Mouth Man not only voted for Kamala, but dedicated his time to her campaign, he's a grade A piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
How are any of us supposed to ever meet a man and get married in this economy?
I'm sure that there's some really, really good catches in the 3%.
Do you think any of them are hot?
We're at 1. No, we're at 0.5. We're at 0.5% of the male population who voted for Harris. You will find someone. Damn, your standards are not that high, but that's a small pool.
It's a really small pool.
Yeah.
And I've been saying that.
I don't even have standards.
I know.
It's
You'd fuck a Trump supporter still.
Obviously. I'm like, if he's hot.
Yeah. I just don't think morally I can. Unless he
I
wasn't
don't ask people that.
you don't have to really ask people, but well
You know
also
what? Actually, I don't know if no, I probably have. But this man that has been trying to fuck me is a heavy Trump supporter, and I was actually thinking about that today.
are you gonna fuck him?
I haven't.
But you might.
No, no.
Are
Uh,
you sure?
I'm not going to. I
Okay.
never will
Who is this?
for other reasons. But I was thinking about that today, and I was like, maybe that has something to do with it.
The reason why you don't want to fuck him?
Yeah, or he's just kind of ugly.
Or he's just ugly.
He's not ugly. He's hot, but he has an ugly inside.
Ugh.
You know him.
Who?
You go to the gym with him.
Mm.
Okay, well that's it. We're gonna go eat. We'll let you girls go.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming to our political rant. Sorry the energy's so low.
I know we are
Feeling things.
yeah.
We're feeling things. I do want to say my final closing argument is that I absolutely love women and watching the women in my life come together after everything is said and done, especially the women I work with. It's been a really, really, really beautiful thing. Although it's like a really bleak time, it's been really beautiful, like seeing everybody come together. And at the end of the day, whether we have to move to Paraguay, is that what you said the other day? Did you say Paraguay?
Definitely did not say that.
Wherever, whatever country we might all have to relocate to. And wouldn't it be kind of a beautiful thing if like the Republicans just round up all the girls and the gays, all the harlots and the gays, and like just shipped us off somewhere?
That would be so fun.
The best time of our lives.
That would be so fun.
It won't be as beautiful as that sounds,
That
but
just sounds like Coachella.
it would be so
It would literally be
fun.
Coachella.
No, literally. Anyway, so we
I'm
love
glad
you
that
all.
you acknowledge that, because I did want to say that. I'm like, me being my little Libra self, I was just like, you were like down and out, and I was like, I wanted to be like, well, I'm happy that you have like a really good support system during this time. Like, I'm sure that like that has helped in some way and like created some cute little bonds, etc.
Yeah. It is sad because I do feel even farther distanced from like my parents than I ever have. I haven't spoken to my father in weeks, but there's so much more community in my life outside of the people that I'm blood related to, and that's just the fact of it. So it's nice. I'm glad I'm not alone. I'm glad that we're all in this together, and thank you guys for letting me rant about women's rights for an hour.
Period. That's what we're here for.
And we love you all so much. We're gonna be back next week with more chaos because we haven't even talked about what happened on Halloween. We haven't even talked about all of the things that have transpired outside of the election, and we're gonna fucking get into it. So we'll be back manic and chaotic as ever. We just needed a moment to grieve and feel our feelings and
figure out a plan to get out of this.
Yeah, we love you all, and our thoughts and prayers are with you during this difficult time, and we'll see you girls next Tuesday.
Love you beyond.
Love you. Bye.